Welcome everyone to today's webinar. We are very happy that so many of you made it to our beginners webinar with Transkribus today. Have you ever seen something like this? We think it's very likely, and that's maybe also the reason why you're here today. If you try reading this, you probably will have a hard time. First, because it's a handwriting from the 17th century, and second, because it's Dutch. As you might read from the source, it's from a project that was investigating sources from New Amsterdam, today known as New York. But first, let me very briefly introduce you who's with me here today. We have our customer success manager, Sonia, who will take care of the chat. So if any of you would have any question, don't hesitate, just use our chat, enter your questions there, and we will be happy to assist you, specifically Sonia, who's very diligently having a look at the chat. Then our marketing and comms lead, Helena, is here with us today, preparing all these slides and carefully drafting everything that we presented today is one of her day-to-day tasks. And together with me here is also Michaela, who together with your truly, myself, is leading our cooperative. So we are not very startup as you might know it. We are a cooperative owned by shareholders from all the world, mainly public institutions and private individuals. We are co-leading this cooperative. I am more concerned with the product and the tech side of Transkribus, and my colleague Michaela is the go-to-market lead. But without further ado, let's have a look at today's content. Yeah, as you've seen before, there's hundreds of millions of pages out there that are there to be uncovered. You can see here in the example with Transkribus, you might have encountered it already. It seems quite easy to drop in a few images and get some results back. But you, of course, listen, it's not always that easy. So if you read this quote, it's one of you that have entered this quote or this text before joining today's webinar. The transcript is never accurate and I can't find my type of writing. So you really face some problems when you work with Transkribus, or you don't know how to choose the right model. In other instances, you don't even know where to start. So one of you has written, I don't know enough to even suggest a question. But today we will help you. Today, by the end of this session, our goal is to show you how you will upload and transcribe a document successfully. We will show you how to know to pick the right model for your material, to understand how to manually edit results, how to work with our transcription editor. And one of the most pressing questions, when do I train a model with Transkribus? How do we understand Transkribus? Transkribus is an ally. So if you work with historical documents, sometimes you need help. And with Transkribus, we provide this help as a platform, as a tool that you can use to simplify that time-consuming day-to-day work when you are facing historical documents that you don't, or that you don't can read that well, or that you are not able to understand without the help of such a tool. But there's more to it. With Transkribus, you can, once you have unlocked your source with a recognition step, you can also search the full text of it. You can also recognize place names, dates, classify text, or you can also extract different types of structures to extract information such as forms, tables, marginal notes. So if you have more advanced use cases, you can also cover this with Transkribus. But today we will have a more practical look at things. We will have a look at the different levels of involvement that you can dedicate to Transkribus. First, and many of you have probably tried it, there's a quick way to use Transkribus. You can just drop in a couple of images and you will get the result back. There are a number of ready-made models that you can use, but sometimes they are not enough. Sometimes you need to understand which exact model to use. Sometimes you need to take different steps when recognizing your material. You need to first do a layout recognition, so recognizing the different parts of text on the image, and then recognizing the text. Or, and that's for the pros and the experts, amongst you, you can also build your own custom AI models with some work that you need to dedicate to prepared training data, but then a couple of clicks and the model training is running for you on the Transkribus cloud. First, the very quick way to do things here at Transkribus, the level 1, use Transkribus out of the box. As said, if we have a look, you can just drop in images and get results back. You might have seen that on our website, but also in your Transkribus account, you can do that very easily. But today we will dedicate most of the time to the level 2, to the guided process, to working with Transkribus, making use of existing models, selecting the correct model, and then use the best tools to work with your material. And we will also have a quick look, but we have more in-depth webinars on that, at the advanced workflow, the custom workflow when you train your own models to work with your material. And there's basically one step that we add to the guided process, which is the training step. So training your own AI model for your material. Let's come back to the level 2, the guided process. There you will start by uploading your material. In a second step, you can run existing AI models over your material to get recognition results. In the third step, you can then edit those, share those, export those, and work with them. Now I can hand over to my colleague Helene. I'm happy that Helene will guide us through the hands-on steps to work with your material. So Helene, take it away.
Thank you so much. I'm just sharing my screen now. And yeah, now that we've gone through the slides and seen what Transkribus can do, we'll look at the standard workflow in action. And we're starting at the very beginning at uploading your documents. But first, we'll just have a quick look where you will be doing all the uploading and working. Many of you have already used Transkribus before, but for those of you who haven't or are just starting out, this is what you see when you log in. So this is your homepage, your landing page. Here you can see you have 3 main areas. You have the desk, which is kind of your central workspace where you manage your documents and collections, and also where we will start our workflow today. But you also have models. This is the model section. Here you can browse and select AI models. And you also have an overview over public and private models, but we will talk about that later, just to give you an information of what you'll see. And then we also have sites. This is where you can publish collections online. We will not really be talking about that today, but just so you know what sites is. So we will start with the desk, because this is where we upload and organize our documents before we start doing the recognition and editing. So how are documents organized in Transkribus? In the Transkribus desk, everything kind of lives inside a collection, and you can think of a collection as a project, as a folder. As you can see here, for example, we have our beginner's webinar or a demo folder, and within these collections, we have documents. You can have multiple documents in one collection, and within those documents are then the pages. The number of pages varies depending on what kind of document you uploaded. So if you uploaded a letter, that might just be 1 page, but if it's a book, it might be hundreds of pages. So now that we know how the documents are structured, let's see how easy it is to bring your material into Transkribus, and we'll jump right into the platform for a better overview and to show you exactly what that will look like. So this is exactly what I just showed you before. This is what you see when you log in. And I'm now going to the desk, and I can see here an overview of my favorite and recent collections. I go into collections, and when you start new, you might want to start a new collection, so a new folder. And you can just call that, for example, webinar, create, and immediately you see the upload screen. So here you can drag and drop your documents once you click on upload, and you also have some information on what kind of file formats you can upload, and also the maximum file number and the size that you can upload here. So I'm just dragging and dropping my folder of documents here that we prepared as an example, and we can see document creation has started. Let's maybe reload the page. We got a nice pop-up here that we already saw what happened, and I can see immediately that we have our documents uploaded into our pages uploaded to the collection. Here you have a few options of also managing your documents. You can, for example, manage the document settings, so add some metadata to your document. You can also share it with a different collection, so that means that the document will stay in this collection, but you can also access it from a different one. You can, of course, move it, merge it with another document, or delete. And a really nice thing here is that you can also manage labels, meaning you can add, as you can see here, some extra information on what kind of pages, what kind of documents you're working with. Maybe it's handwritten, and let's see, it's also a 2-column. I'm just showing as an example, a 2-column text, so that way you can add some additional information. And we can save that here. So now that we have our documents uploaded and organized in our new collection, in our document, the next step is to turn those images into text. And for that, I'll just jump back into the presentation for now. And we'll have a look at the second step in the standard workflow, which is the recognition. So when you do the recognition with Transkribus, you basically convert printed or handwritten text into digital text using existing or custom AI models. And we will start with the easiest way to recognize text, which is by using one of our many public models that are already available in the platform. So as a quick recap, our public models are trained pre-trained models that are available to anyone in Transkribus. They're quite large and robust and quite easy to use. They have also been trained on hundreds of pages of either handwritten or printed material in a lot of languages and scripts. We have already over 300 public models available, ranging from, as you can see, Kurrent, German, or Ottoman Turkish, Latin as well, and also handwritten and print, as I mentioned before, and we have also over 30 languages available. Now, we often get asked, how do I find the right model? How do I actually pick the one that fits my material? And you can see here an overview of all the models in our model workspace. So this is the workspace that I mentioned right in the beginning. You can filter these models by language, type, or name, and also by time span. So for example, here you see 330 models, but if you filter, let's say, by looking for an English model that is handwritten, you can see here the filter options and select the language on top, then this gets reduced to a handful of models, which is already much more a better overview, or much more limited, and gives you a better understanding of what models you can use. If you click on the model description, this also gives you an indication of if the model is a fit for your material. So for example, if you click on the model description, you can see some more additional information, such as the language that it was trained on, but also the training set size and the character error rate. So this is an indication of how good the model might perform on your material. The character error rate, just to explain, it is an indication of how many characters were wrongfully recognized during the training. So in this case, for example, during the training, only 4.8 characters out of 100 were recognized incorrectly. And this can give you an indication that if you work with Spanish material in a similar time frame that the training data was for this model, the result might already be quite good. This is one of the public models that you can access with our free plan. But we also have newer technology, which are the supermodels, and they are available with our full feature access, starting with the Scholar plan. So what's new and impressive about them is that they are very large and generally very versatile models. So this means that you can use one model also for different scripts and languages, and also for mixed material. So One example for it that we have here is the Text Titan, which has been trained in 6 different languages and can be used for mixed material. So if you have a document that is handwritten as well as printed, this is often the best, let's say, out-of-the-box experience. So once you have found a model that matches your material, whether it's like a public model for a specific script or one of our supermodels, you can then apply it directly to your documents. The process is quite simple, but to make it a bit clearer, we're going to switch again over to the web app and we'll have a look at what this process looks like in practice. Let's see. Okay. So now we're back in the web app and we have our document here with 3 pages. I can either recognize or start the recognition with the whole document or open the document, and now I can see the pages that are included here. I can select the pages that I want to recognize. Let's do all of them right now. And now I click on Process with AI. We can now see this slide in, and here you can select what type of model you want to use. So in this case, we want to recognize text, so we'll select the process type text models, and here you can search for the models. You can again use filters, so let's say I am looking for a handwritten model, and I want to limit the time span a bit. I also have here my favorite models already pre-selected, and I can also search for them. So let's say English Eagle. I can try this one maybe first. So we can check here, okay, this is the model I selected. I have 3 pages from one document, and now I want to start the recognition. I can now see the jobs overview. So this is basically an overview of what kind of tasks I have done, what tasks I created. As I can see here, I have the job for the text recognition of my English handwriting document. It has been created. Let me reload the page, and we can see, we should be able to see that the job is now also progressing. Let's see. Yes, so the job is running. I can also, in the meantime, show you what that looks like. We have already prepared a few documents in advance to show you what that looks like, and I will jump right into the material here. So what is happening in the background as the job is running is that Transkribus will basically analyze the layout first to see where the text is on the page, and then automatically convert the handwritten or printed text into machine-readable form. And again, the processing might take a bit. We have some prepared documents for you here. Let's open one page. Now, once the text recognition has finished, this is what you will see. You have the image on the left side and the automatic transcript on the right side. Now, it can happen, especially when using public models, that there are some mistakes, but you can easily correct them in this editor. So this is the Transkribus editor. And because public models have been trained on a lot of material, but different material from your specific material, it can happen that there are some transcription mistakes. Now, what can you correct here? Well, we have the image on the left side. So sometimes this is prepared. So these are some mistakes that I added on purpose just to show you what you can do. But in case, for example, that the Transkribus AI hasn't recognized a text region, you can add that. Now, what is a text region? So the text region is the box that encloses the handwritten text that is contained in the image. You can also see here these blue lines that are also missing, for example, in this text region. And these lines are baselines, and they are the reference point for text recognition. So this is basically the reference point for the AI to see where to, let's say, read the text. And you can add a text region and text lines by using the setting setting bar on the side, and you can click here on Add Region, and now you have a few options of what kind of region you want to select. In our case, I just want to add a simple text region. This is not a table. I click on Add Text Region, and you can see here with also these helpful lines that I can add a region, and I start adding a region by just clicking once with my mouse on the text, and you can see that I can drag now the region to where I want it. I click again, and we have another text region. And you can see here, region 3 has appeared. It doesn't have text yet because there are no lines and the text recognition hasn't run yet, but this is how you can add another region. And similarly, you add baselines by clicking on Add Line. And you start adding a line by clicking once, and you can select multiple points here to draw the line, and with one double click, the line is finished. And you saw that immediately here we have the first line in our region. What you can also do in the image editor, in the layout editor, is you can add tags. So what are tags? Tags are basically specific labels or markers that are applied to elements within a document. I started drawing a line here. And in case of the layout, these are structure tags, and they help you define the hierarchy of a document. So in this case, I have, for example, marginalia, and I want to add the information that I have marginalia here. And I do that by selecting the text region and using the right click of my mouse, and then I assign a structure type of marginalia. I can do the same, for example, with these larger text regions. Let's say I want to define them as a text region, maybe also a header. Let's maybe do some more layout editing here first. So let's say I want to have this as a heading from the same role, just to show you what you could do. Oh, maybe let's use this as a heading. And I want it separate from the text below. I can also split a region, and I do that by just simply click on H on my keyboard. And as you can see, there is this horizontal line, so H like horizontal, and I click on the space, on the place in the region where I want to split it. And let's see. Let's try again. There we go. I can see now that this has been split into two. Let's also use Shift to make this region a bit larger. And now to add another layout tag, I do a right click with my mouse, and I can add heading, and maybe here I will add, let's say, paragraph. So this is how you can add additional information to the layout. Let's move on. Oops, that's my bad. Let's move on to the text editor. So in the text editor, you can correct the text. As I mentioned before, there are also some transcription errors that can happen, not just layout recognition errors. So for example, here we can see in the first line that we have, this word is not menu, but it's mem and then a dot. And we can correct this by simply using our keyboard and typing the correct letter, the correct transcript in our transcription. Some other things that you can do here is you can also change the line order. So sometimes it can happen that the lines are not in the correct order. Let's see, for example, do we have a good example here? I think if we click here. Okay, I think because we split the regions, the line that I prepared that was a bit messed up corrected itself. But to show you, if you click here on layout, on the layout tree, you can simply drag and drop lines into a different order in case they were in the wrong order, and you can edit it that way very easily. Of course, you can also add tags to the text. So similar to the structure tags, there are textual tags, and they help you to label specific text elements. So for example, dates or names, but also spelling. So let's have a look at the text and what additional information we can add here. So here I have a date, the 22nd of May, and as you can see, just by highlighting it, nothing happens. I need to have the tagging enabled. If I enable tagging and now I highlight the text again, there are multiple options of what tags I can add. So now I will add the textual tag that this is a date, but maybe I also want to add the information that this is superscript, and I can do that as well. And if I click superscript, you can first of all see that it is now also superscript in the transcript, and it has been added as a tag. So you can add multiple tags to one word, to one element in the text. And you can also, let's have a look here, maybe add name or person as a tag as well. One also very useful thing that is quite new is the option to add comments. So for example, if I work with a colleague and I say, okay, the tags are still missing, I can just simply write a comment and say, please add tags to page, send that, and we have the comment here. You can also, of course, if you've done that, in this case, we've added some tags, and I can simply resolve this. Okay, here we have an error message, but it seems that it has been resolved. So just so you know that you can work with comments that way. Then let's have a look at what you can do within the settings. So there are some options to customize your editor. Let's have a look here. Because we're talking about the tags, let's have a look here right away. If there are some that are missing, so if you work with a specific type of document and you say, maybe let's just say it's some handwritten recipes, or a place that is working with distances a lot and you need to have a tag for that, then you can add that here by clicking on Edit Tags in Collection Setting. And then a new page should open where you should be able to add and create new tags. And once you create these tags, they will become visible in this list, and you can just simply select that they will become visible in your list. And so let's see, here we have structural tags. Let's move to textual tags. For example, speech. I have now enabled speech, and just to show you, you can see that speech is appearing here in the tags that I am able to select. We can also do some configuration regarding the image. So I can choose to have the regions visible or not visible. Same with baselines, now they are visible, but also can choose to not show them. So it really depends how you work best with the documents, and you can edit that here in the configuration settings. We also have some options to change color in case there is some difficulty, for example, to distinguish between green and red tones. You can try and adjust the color. Let's say here we have the region, and we'll make it, just to show you what this looks like, purple or red. So you can adjust it here and just see what colors and what kind of configurations work best for you. Similarly, with the text, you can also choose to, for example, show the text in the center or have it aligned on the right. Or you can also, if the numbers of the lines are, for example, not very helpful for you and you prefer to not show them, you can also choose to not have that visible here as well. One important thing is to always save your progress. Don't forget that. And you can also change the status. So here we now have the document in progress, but if you're finished with the transcript and you're happy, you can of course also set the progress, the status to done, as an indicator at what point in the transcription process you are. Now, what do I do if the results of the automatic text recognition are quite poor? I'm not really satisfied with them. One thing you can do is try another model. And you can do that right here in the editor. You can click here on Process with AI again and simply select a different model. Let's try, for example, the Text Titan. And you can just start the recognition from within the editor. You can see here, transformer started. And as you can see, the text recognition or new text recognition is running in the background. Once this has finished, we can also compare it with previous versions, and I will show you what that will look like in a minute. Another thing that you can do is split the recognition process in 2 steps. So you could, for example, first, let me show you, do a layout recognition and have the layout recognized. And then in a second step, do the text recognition. So using a specific, for example, baseline model might be helpful if you have very slanted lines or a bit of unregular line layout. So these are some things that you can do. Now, how you can compare the performance of the models within the editor is by clicking on this clock icon, and this is your version history. And you can see here the current version is the result of the Text Titan transcription or automatic recognition. And you can compare it by just scrolling down. And let's see here we have the English Eagle that was used to recognize it. I can click on the 3 dots and then select Compare with Current Version. And now I can see some differences in the result of the 2 models. And there you can really check and have a look at which one performed better on the document. You can also switch colors of the green and the red here, and you can see that the amount of differences that were detected. So this basically gives you an indication of or shows you how the models perform differently. And then you can also select, if you say, okay, the English Eagle in this case performed better with my material, you can also choose to restore the version. So these are some helpful tips on how you can choose a better model, what you can do if you're not really happy with the results. Okay, but let's say now we have reviewed our text, we corrected it, it's now accurate, and because it was translated and is machine readable, it is also fully digital and searchable. So in this case, I mean, we only have 3 pages, but especially if you work with multiple pages, you also want to use the text in a further way, and maybe you want to look for specific information within your pages, and I will show you how you can do that. So let's go out of our document, and you can use here the search bar to look for information within your document and search directly in Transkribus. So what you can do here is look for a specific place or name or keyword. Let's, for example, look for a place. Let's look for London, for example, and you can see here the result of your search. So we don't have a collection that has that name. We don't have a document that has that name, but it does appear in the full text in 100 instances. So let's see all those instances. So I click on See All, and you have a list of all the document where London was a search result. There's also some leniency in the search because sometimes the automatic transcription can get a letter wrong. So there is some leniency. As you can see here, 1 letter is wrong, but it still shows you the result. And you can also check here in the image right away, is this actually London? Is this not London? And of course, you can select then the page and it will open in the editor, and you can directly see the text and further information of the text that includes this term that you had looked for. All right, so now once you have recognized and corrected and maybe even searched through the text, let's go back to our collection, you want to export your results. So how do I export my results? Exporting makes a lot of sense if you want to use the text outside of Transkribus, for example, to use it in a publication or share it with colleagues who don't use Transkribus. And you can export your documents by selecting either single pages or, again, a whole document. And then you click on the action button here on the top and select Export. And you can see the standard export options here. You also have more export options with, of course, the full feature access that starts with the Scholar plan, but just to give you an overview. So let's say I want to download it and export it as a Transkribus PDF. I can also choose to export either all tags, maybe only selected tags. I can choose that here as well. So this again gives you more options of how to work with the documents outside of Transkribus. And then the only thing that is left to do is click Start Export, and the download link is sent to you via email. So, of course, if you're still working with the material, it's usually best to just stay inside Transkribus for now, so that way you can keep all your layout and version history intact. And maybe if you're planning to edit it further or train a model or upload more documents, that is also quite helpful to just keep it in Transkribus until you're sure you want to export it all. So exporting isn't something that you have to do right away, but now you know how it works. But the question is now, and is quite often, is what do I do if the public models just don't really give me the result that I need? So I've tried multiple public models, I've experimented with baseline models or tried them out, and I have used also the advanced settings, but the recognition is still not quite there. And that is when you can train a model. And for that, we'll again jump back into our presentation and have a look. All right, we've done that. So done editing. Maybe let me just jump ahead a few slides here and we'll go right into recognition. And I will show you what you can do if the public models are not enough and you need to train a custom model. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Okay, so, well, this is still not the right one. All right, I'll just skip ahead for now. There we go. How to get the data out. We also had done that. There we go. What to do when public models fall short. In this case, you train a model. So the question is, again, choosing the right approach. In this case, because we weren't really satisfied with the public models, you can train a custom model. So let's quickly compare. The public models are pre-trained, ready to use, and they work really well in many cases, but they are still general purpose. And the custom models are trained on your specific materials, and they can really learn the specifics of your handwriting. So when are custom models useful? They are very useful when working with regional characteristics, with individual writing styles, but they can also be helpful when you have demanding layouts, and they are very versatile for individual applications. So in these instances, we will go with the custom models. The custom model training uses specific examples to help the AI, the Transkribus AI, to accurately recognize and understand the writing in your data. So the training a model in Transkribus is all about giving the Transkribus AI examples of the text you wanted to recognize. And this is why the extra step here is the training with exactly these examples. So these examples basically teach the model to understand the particular handwriting of the model. And a quick way, let me go back to understand the model. And because they need to understand the handwriting, you need to give it examples and enough amount of examples. So we always recommend around 50 pages of correctly transcribed text, and we call that ground truth. So ground truth are the pages with correct transcriptions to train the AI. For printed text, it might require less because it is more standardized, but we do recommend at least 50 pages. And a quick way to come up with those examples, with those 50 pages of ground truth, is to use a public model first, to do pre-recognition with a public model, then accurately correct the text, so correct the mistakes, mark the pages as ground truth, and then you can start your first training. So I will show you what that looks like in the web app once we have those pages. Let's go back in our collection. Let's see here. So here we have a document with many pages, and I can again just select the whole document. In this case, we have more than 50 pages, but the more pages it sees during the training, the better the model performance will be, because it has more reference points that it has seen during the training. Now, I start the training by clicking again on an action button and then train model. You can see here we have different models that you can train. Today we'll stay with the text recognition model, and we have some more webinars about training other models, layout models as well, but today we'll stay with the text recognition model. So first, the first step in training model is selecting the training data, and we have already done that. We have already selected this document as our training data. These are the pages that the model will be trained on. So now we click on next, and the next step is the validation data. And this is the group of examples that allow for a basically neutral evaluation of your model. So what does that mean? The neutral evaluation means that these are pages that Transkribus compares their result with to determine how accurate is the model. So in this step, Transkribus automatically selects 10% to compare it. You can also do a manual selection, but for now, the 10% is enough. So this is also selected automatically. And then we have the next step, which is the model setup. And here you can give the model a name. So we'll call it diary, or say handwriting 1803. And we can add a description. So this diary is by Marjorie Fleming, who was a child author. So I'll just prepared a little text here that I can just copy paste in. So this is then some additional information about the material, maybe the person who wrote this text. But this basically gives you, and if you should publish the model as well, some additional information on what was used in the training. You can also add an image URL. This will mean that here is a preview of the material that the model was trained with. Then I will add a language, which is English, and I can select the centuries. In this case, this is 2019. And now I can already start my first model training. So I click on next. Here I have an overview of the settings of the model setup. Of course, there are additional settings that you can add. We again have another webinar for that, but to keep it, to not go over the time too much, we'll just stick with that for now. And once you have checked all these settings, you click on start. And now the training has started for your custom model. So in this case, for the model training, the part that really takes the longest is coming up with the ground truth. But again, we do recommend to come up with the 50 pages, or at least 50 pages of ground truth. Start with a public model and then just simply correct it. It is way quicker to only correct, even if the public model only recognized 60% correctly, it's way faster to only correct 40%, tend to do everything from scratch and everything manually. As you can see, okay, it is 27 in queue, so that might take a while, but we have another model that I can show you as an example. So once I have trained my custom model, it is not publicly visible. It is not under public models here, but it is under my models. So these are your private models that you trained, and these will be visible for you. So let me show you what you will see. Here we have, for example, already a model that we trained with this material. In this case, we had only 20 pages. And as you can see, when you evaluate now this version of your model, with 20 pages, the character error rate is quite high. So before I mentioned with the model that I showed you, the character error rate was, I think, 4 or 5%, meaning that only 5 out of 100 characters were recognized incorrectly. In this case, it's already much more. And that is because the training data is quite low. So it hasn't seen a lot of variation during the training. And in that case, what we can do to improve a model is to retrain it. So just by correcting your transcription output in the editor, the model does not improve. You need to retrain a model. And by retraining a model, the way that it works is to go through the training steps again, or through the training workflow again, meaning add or recognize more pages with a model, and then start a new model training. Let me show you what I mean by that in the slides. I'm gonna go ahead here, training a custom model. So we have the training workflow here. So what I mean by retraining is first you recognize it with this first version of your model. Then you correct more text, save that again as ground truth, and add these pages to the new training. And then you can recognize more pages with the new and improved model. And you can repeat this process. So what I mean by that is let me go back. It is quite normal to train multiple versions of a model to really get the result that you want. So if I show you here, for example, version 2 of the model with 146 pages, the character error rate is already much lower. And this is just version 2. So the more pages you add and the more often you retrain a model, you can really get a good result. And retraining a model is a normal part of the model training progress. So don't get discouraged if the first model has a bit of a higher CER, just add more ground truth data and the model performance will become better as well. But as always, we do recommend to run a recognition test with your model and also do a visual evaluation of the result yourself. And you can start a model training with your own custom model the same way you did with a public model. All right. And I think that brings me to the end point of my part. So we've gone through the core Transkribus workflow from uploading your documents to recognizing text with public models or supermodels, also editing and tagging your text. We've had a look at how you can search through your content and also how you can train custom models. And there is even more you can do, which is why I will now hand over to my colleague Michaela and stop screen sharing for now. And she will guide you through the rest of the webinar.
Yes, thank you, Helena. So you should be able to see my screen now. So what we've seen so far is the main workflow. We can work with in Transkribus, especially for the text recognition and model training. And apart from this, the platform also offers some more features. I will just briefly go through now. Apart from our text recognition, Transkribus can also understand the structure of the documents, for example, the layout, tables, or form fields. And we also have a possibility for publishing your results. So what we can see here are the 4 types of the model which can be trained with Transkribus. And what we just saw is the first one, the text recognition models. And these are our core AI models. I can say that can turn handwriting, but also printed text, or text in general, into digital text. Depending on your material, you can also train a baseline model, for example, which focuses on the detecting of the text lines, a field model, which identifies specific layout zones like form fields or other fields in, for example, index cards. And we also have the possibility to train a table model, which detects rows and columns in tabular layouts. And there we will have a closer look now, starting with the baseline models. As you can see here in the picture, what you can do with Transkribus is draw the right lines of the text on the page. So when you're working with neat handwriting or in general neat images, then it's usually not a big issue for Transkribus to detect the baselines. But when your material is a bit older, with screwed or curved lines, for example, marginal notes or tight spacing, then the default line detection can struggle. And this is why we also have the option to train a baseline model. That means we can teach the AI to recognize how your text line behaves, so whether it overlaps or it varies in length, for example. And by improving how the lines are recognized, we can really see a big increase in the accuracy of the text recognition later on. So this means the better the baselines are detected, the better the text recognition is then in the next step. Then we also have the field models. We can, for example, think of documents that have repeated patterns, for example, forms, registers, but also questionnaires. Each page might have fields for names, dates, and places. Like in this example, we have an index card, and the field model can learn these patterns. And once it is trained, it automatically recognizes and marks all the relevant areas. For instance, it can then find where the name field is or the date of birth field, so where all these different fields are located. You can also name these regions and give them the name that is representing the field, and this saves in the end hours of manual markup that you would have to do when you don't use a field model. And in this way you can ensure also consistent results across larger collections, across many pages, images of your document. You can use this information also for structured exports. So, for example, the exporting all the names from a parish register into a spreadsheet. This is also really convenient when using field models, so you can not just make your results readable, but also usable then in the end. And then we finally have our table models. Like the name says, these models recognize entire tables. So the idea is to have structured data or take structured data a step further with recognizing entire tables, and they can automatically detect rows and columns. This is particularly useful for documents like lists, accounting books, ship registers, for example, but also scientific data sets. So everything where the layout is critical for the meaning. And here as well, once recognized, the transcribed data can also be exported in a table format. So this makes also quantitative analysis or database imports much easier. So in general, field and table models together, I would say open up, not just to be able to read the text, but also analyze the historical data. And with this, we have a good model set with these 4 different model types that we provide in Transkribus to work on different documents, different layouts, and different handwritings in general. And once everything is recognized, you can also have the option to use Transkribus sites for sharing the results. And this is our solution for publishing collections online. You can create a site where you can also curate a set of documents, present them, make the transcription searchable for public. And this is especially useful for institutions, research projects in general, and also community archives, for example, that want to make their material publicly accessible. And what is the advantage of sites, of Transkribus sites, is that it's a really easy way to turn your results into a public resource, and you don't have to have a lot of technical experience. So no development skills, for example, are needed for this. And it combines the image, the scanned image, and this transcription on the site. So it compares this, and you can also see that it has a really rather clear interface where you can adjust things. Like in the image you can see here, you can adjust the description of your homepage or the image you want to use in the background, for example. So it's a really easy way to use and to turn your results into a public resource. Here you can see the example how it looks when it's online. So we have the example of Marjorie Fleming again here. This is a project which presents the diary of Marjorie Fleming, and visitors can browse the pages and also read the transcription side by side. And with this, I think it is easy to share what you want to share with public, also with students, scholars, for example. And the advantage is also that you have the control over the data you want to share and you want to put on your Transkribus site. Yes, and so to wrap this up, so we are nearly over with our webinar, but I want to share some final thoughts in general. We had a main walkthrough of Transkribus, so what the first steps can look like, what we can do from uploading to transcribing a document, how to choose the right model, how to edit and export the results, and also train the model for handwriting. And we are whether you're starting with Transkribus or plan a larger project. So the tool is designed to grow with the project you want to do. And before I really finish today, I just want to share a bit of a quick look of who stands behind Transkribus. Transkribus is operated by the Read Corp, SCE, so an European cooperative founded in 2019. And we, our cooperative includes over 250 public institutional and private members at the moment, like archives, libraries, universities, and individuals as well. And we are a purpose before profit organization. So that means that any income is reinvested into improving the platform and developing new features for the community. We run our own secure data center in Innsbruck in Austria. So the data is located then in Europe. And our team is currently has about 25 people all across Europe working in Innsbruck and remotely. And here you can also see some of our member institutions. We put in some of the images here. So our Transkribus is used in over 35 countries, as I said, by archives, museums, libraries, and universities. And the diversity is what makes our community strong. So people from different disciplines, but also languages, and all contributing models, feedback, and shared knowledge. This is what is really valuable to us, so that we can work together with the community. Every time someone trains a model, wants to improve accuracy on pages and ground truths, publishes a collection. So this is everything that we can add to our ecosystem in general and to the whole community. And this is also what we work for, and why our mission is to provide the best possible tool for making history or written text in general accessible. So we believe that historical sources shouldn't be locked away, and that with AI-assisted transcription or text recognition, everyone can engage with these materials in new ways. And that's the heart of Transkribus, making the past readable, searchable, and shareable. So in 3 ways, we want to unlock history, but also and unlock every written document there is. And yeah, you can be part of this mission. That would be also really great. If you want to, you can start working with Transkribus right now. We put in the link to our web app here. It's free to create an account. You can try all the basic functions like uploading, recognition, exporting of documents. You can just start and test in our free version. As you heard, there are more advanced features you can use in our paid subscriptions and other credit options we can offer. But for beginners, the free tier is really a great way to explore Transkribus and the different options we offer. And I also saw some questions on the chat. We have, like a user manual, we have a help center. And when you start, and also later on, the help center is always your best friend, where you can find good information and also the latest updates. So you find step-by-step tutorials and articles here. And our support team updates this page regularly. So Sonja also is the main force behind the Help Center, and you can reach the Help Center under help.transkribus.org. And if you want to also learn more on, or want to have deeper insights, for example, on how to train a field model or table model, you can find us on YouTube. You can also check out our event homepage, where we update or give updates for new webinars we want to provide over the next weeks and months. And all webinars are also uploaded on YouTube, so you can access them anytime you want. You can learn at your own pace, revisit what we said and showed in the different webinars here under this link. And of course, we are also present on social media. So if you want to join our conversation, our community, we are happy to see you on LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Instagram, or Facebook, as you like. Please share also your thoughts and feedback. We are sharing model updates, for example, via social media, but also show some project highlights, success stories from all around the world. And there you can also reach us. Then I would say thanks for participating in our webinar today. I hope you learned something new and you want to start working with Transkribus and help us also with unlocking every document and turning the most difficult handwriting into readable and searchable text.